Hello everyone, welcome back to Shubhraj World. In this video, I'll explain you the Deep Learning Unit 1 important question solved. Before starting, if you are new to Shubhraj World, then subscribe to it for more videos like this. Here, these are the important questions from the Unit 1. Let us start with the first question. What are machine learning basics? Explain supervised and unsupervised learning. Here, machine learning means computers learns the patterns automatically from the data. Machine learning will understand the data that we have given and it will learn that patterns automatically. Clear? Machine learning improves the performance when more data is given. Here, when we give the more data, it will understand in better way and it improves the performance also. Machine learning is used in predictions, classification, recommendations and image recognition. When I give more images of cats, it will understand in better way and improve its performance. Clear? It is used in the predictions, classification, recommendation and recognition. Here, supervised learning means data contains the input and correct output, which is labeled. Here, supervised means you have to remember it is labeled data. The model learns by comparing predicted answers with a real answer. It will start comparing with the predicted answer and the real answer. It is used for classification, that is spam or not spam, and regression, which is price prediction. For example, email spam detection, it is used in that there. Disease prediction. Supervised learning is divided mainly into two types. Let us see classification and one more is regression. Classification means used when the output is category or label. Here, when the output is labeled, it is a classification supervised learning. For example, email spam detection. This is example of classification and disease detection is also example of classification. Here, whether it is positive or negative, the disease detection is an example of classification and handwritten digit recognition is also an example of classification. Let us see the second type of the supervised learning used when the output is a continuous numeric value. When the output is continuous numeric value, that is a regression supervised learning. For example, house price prediction, that will be a continuous numeric value. And temperature prediction, stock market value prediction. These are all the regression supervised learning. And the second one is unsupervised learning. We have understood that what is supervised. The second one is unsupervised. Here, data has no labels. In supervised learning, data has the labels. Here, there is no label, only the input. And model groups or discuss the hidden patterns. It will model the groups, discuss the hidden patterns in that data. It is useful when we don't know the categories. When we don't know the categories, it is very useful because it is unlabeled data. For example, customer grouping, finding similar images. In those examples, unsupervised learning is used. I have done this for you for better understanding. Supervised learning means data has the labels. Here, data has no labels. Models learns the using input and correct output. Models learns by finding patterns on its own. And use it for classification and regression. It is use it for clustering and dimensionally reduction. And the main goal is predict the outputs for new data. Here, the main goal is discover hidden structure in the data. The training is more complex because label data is needed. Here, only label data is needed. That's why the training is more complex. Training is very easy because here unlabeled data is sufficient. High accuracy because the correct answers during the training. Here it uses the proper input. That's why it is high accuracy. The outputs are very clear. It is low accuracy since model learns by itself. Here the pattern learns its own. That's why it is low accuracy. For example, spam versus not spam price prediction. Here, grouping customers and market segmentation. Linear regression, SVM, decision trees are the algorithms we use in the supervised learning. K-means clustering, PCA, hierarchical clustering are the algorithms we use in unsupervised learning. It needs large label data sets, which is costly here in supervised learning. It works with the unlabeled data set, that's why it is cheaper than the supervised learning. The output is known and measurable. The output is unknown and discovered by the model. This I have explained for better understanding. Let us move to the next question. Explain capacity, overfitting and underfitting with a clear diagrams. Here capacity means how well a model can learn the patterns. Clear? How well I can learn. For example, the deep learning subject is there. How well I can learn. That is my capacity. Clear? Low capacity model learns few patterns. For example, if my IQ is low, I will learn only few patterns. High capacity model learns the complex pattern. If my IQ is very high, I can learn the complex patterns as well. Clear? Choosing correct capacity is very important. Based on the capacity, I have to work with. Clear? This is about the capacity. Overfitting means model memorizes training data because it performs well on training data and poor on new data. Clear? It happens due to too many parameters are high capacity. Then the overfitting happens. For example, student memorizing answers but failing new questions. Which are the question you know very well? You are memorizing that very clearly. Which you don't know for new questions, it is you're failing there. Clear? This is about overfitting. Here, if you observe the diagram, a machine learning issue where a model is too complex and fits the training data is too closely. including noise. This is a overfit. You can explain this also. And for underfit, here the model cannot learn the basic patterns also, performs poorly on the both training and test data. It happens due to too simple model or low capacity. For example, student not studying enough. This is example of underfitting. A model is underfit when it is too simple to capture the underlying pattern in the data. If you understood this clearly, then you can write down in your own words as well. Let us move to the next question. What is hyperparameters and what is a validation set? Here, hyperparameters means the value set before training, that is learning rate, layers and batch size. This is hyperparameters. They control learning speed and model behavior. Not learned from the data. It is not learned from the data. It is manually chosen. The validation set means the small part of the data used to tune the hyperparameters. It is a small part of the data used to tune the hyperparameters. It helps to check the performance during training and prevents overfitting and helps to select the best model. By using validation set, it prevents the overfitting and helps to select the best model. Here, if you observe in this diagram, we have data set. In that, we have train model, train set, validation set and test set. Train set, it is 70% because it is used to train or teach the model. It will train the model. Model learns the patterns from this data. Here, clear? It will train that model. After that, validation set is 15%. They have asked about the validation set only. It is used to tune the hyperparameters. I have told, right? It is used to tune the hyperparameters, that is learning rate and layers of the data. It will check how well the model is performing during training. During training, how well the model is performing. It will check that. Validation means the same thing only, right? It helps avoiding overfitting. I have told you, it prevents overfitting. After that, we have test set, which is again the 15%. Use it after training is completed. After training is completed and after validation, it is used to test. It gives the final accuracy of the model. Here we can easily check the final accuracy of that model. It will tell how well the model works on new data. Clear? Here the training means learning. Validation means improving. Test means the final performance to check whether it is performing well or not. The accuracy also we can check here. Clear? And the next question is, what are estimators? Explain bias and variance. Here estimators means the algorithms that estimate values from the data. That is mean, weights and parameters. It is used in regression, probability models and etc. The estimators are algorithms that will estimate the values from that data. Clear? Here they have told to explain the bias and variance. Bias means errors caused by oversimplifying the model. When we oversimplify a model, errors are caused by that. This is biased. High bias means underfitting. You have to remember this. High bias. When you see the high bias, it is underfitting. And model misses the important patterns in the bias. And variance means errors caused by high sensitivity to data noise. And high variance means overfitting. High variance, when you see the high variance, it is overfitting. Clear? And model memorizes the data here. If you observe this diagram graph, here low bias and low variance. This side it is bias, variance. Low bias and low variance. High bias. Bias is increasing, but the variance remains the same. Here, variance is increasing. That's why high variance, low bias. Here, high bias and high variance. Based on the diagram, whatever you understood, you can easily write down in your own words as well. And the next question is, explain maximum likelihood estimation. Here the maximum likelihood estimation finds the parameters that best explain the given data. Whatever the data I have given, based on that data, it will explain the best parameters. It will find the best parameters. Clear? It selects the parameters values that makes observed data most probable. It is used in regression, classification and probability models as well. For example, estimating mean of normal distribution. Here we will use this maximum likelihood estimation. The purpose of this maximum likelihood estimation is estimate the parameters that best explain the observed data. Here, whatever the data I have given, here in this point, here it will explain the best observed data. This is maximum likelihood. This is the purpose of the maximum likelihood. Here the idea is pick parameter values that maximize the likelihood of the data. The likelihood function is L of theta, P of data, theta, often use the log likelihood. And steps are L of theta, which means these are all the steps to finding the maximum likelihood estimator for a parameter theta. Clear? After that, take the natural logarithm of that and differentiate with respect to theta. After that, it is set to 0, setting the derivative to 0 and solving for theta to find the maximum likelihood estimation. Here the properties of MLE are consistent, asymptotically normal and efficient. For example, coin toss n times, I will get x heads. That is maximum likelihood estimation of probability is equal to x times head divided by number of times I have tossed the coin. Clear? And the next question is explain Bayesian statistics. Bayesian method updates belief when a new information comes, which means it will update the new information. Bayesian, here it uses the theorem prior, evidence and posterior. This is the Bayesian theorem steps. It is helpful when the data is uncertain or limited. When the data is limited and uncertain, we use this Bayesian statistics, and it is used in spam filters, diagnostics and risk prediction. The main purpose is I have explained here Bayesian method update believe when the new information comes. Clear? The idea is combines the prior knowledge. It will combine the prior knowledge with the observed data to make inference. Here is a mathematical form of Bayes theorem, that is P of theta and data is equal to P of data theta into P of theta divided by P of data. This is how we represent in the mathematical form. Here we have some steps in the Bayes theorem. Those are choose the prior distribution for the parameter. Here we have to choose the prior distribution for the parameter of interest, and collect the data, calculate the likelihood. We have to collect the data and calculate the likelihood. After that, compute the posterior distribution using Bayes theorem and make the predictions or decisions based on the posterior. We have some properties in that is incorporate prior knowledge. It provides full probability distribution for the parameters, naturally updates the beliefs with new data, as I have told here. For example, estimating probability of rain using historical data. In the prior data, it will estimate the probability of rain. And today's, based on the data we have, we update the probability of posterior. Clear? And few common applications are spam filtering, medicine diagnosis, and financial risk assessment, machine learning. These are all the applications of Bayesian statistics. And the next question is, what is stochastic gradient descent? Here, it updates the model using one sample or the small batch. It is faster than the normal gradient descent. The stochastic gradient descent is faster than the normal gradient descent. It is used for large data set and deep learning. It is used in the deep learning and use it for large data sets. It helps reduce the loss step by step, which means it will reduce the loss step by step. The purpose of this stochastic gradient descent is optimize the model parameters to minimize the loss function. We have to minimize the loss function by optimize the parameters. The idea is update parameters step by step using small batches or single data points rather than the whole data sets. It doesn't use the whole data set, rather than it will take step by step small batches or single data points. Here the steps are initialize parameters randomly. It will initialize the parameters randomly. After that, pick one data point or small batch. I have told you. It will pick one data point or the small batch. Compute the gradient of loss with respect to the parameters. It will update the parameters, that is theta is equal to theta minus learning rate into gradient. This is the formula to update the parameters and repeat for many iterations or epochs, because to minimize the loss function. Clear? The advantages of this SGDR: faster than full batch gradient descent. I have told here, faster than the normal gradient descent, and can escape local minima due to randomness. I have taken here random parameters, right? It can escape the minima due to the randomness. For example, training a neural network on large data set using a sample at a time. If you observe this diagram, here it is a best stochastic gradient descent because it minimized the loss function here. Clear? Let us move to the next question. Explain the steps involved in building a machine learning algorithm. These are all the steps to building the machine learning algorithm. We have to collect the data and clean the processed data, pre-processed data, select the features, choose the model, train the model, validate using validation set, test with the unseen data, deploy and monitor. These are all the steps. You have to explain 1 to 2 lines for each step. Clear? Based on the marks, you have to explain and draw this diagram. It is completely fine to explain whatever you understood. You can easily write down in your own words. Clear? Here collect the data means you have to collect the data. This is the first step. And data preparation, choose the learning algorithm, train the model, after that evaluate it and the predictions, everything. And the next question is, what are deep feed forward networks? Deep forward networks means also called as feed forward neural network. And data moves from input to hidden and output layer. Here you can see the input layer, after that hidden layers and output layer. Use it for complex pattern learning. You can observe this diagram. It is very complex pattern. Clear? It is used in the complex pattern learning. And learning XOR means XOR cannot be solved by a single layer network. If you observe here, it cannot solve in single layer network. It requires at least one hidden layer. It requires at least one hidden layer and one or more than one hidden layer. It provides importance for deep learning. Here it provides the importance for the deep learning. And hidden units are the neurons inside the hidden layer. These are the neurons inside the hidden layer. They extract the features, that is edges, shapes and patterns. They will extract those features. The more units, more learning ability. If there are more units inside the hidden layers, the learning ability is also more. And architecture design means choosing number of layers, neurons and activation functions. And good design avoids the overfitting and increase the accuracy. Here how many number of layers and neurons, activation functions, everything is the architecture design. And good design avoids the overfitting and increase the accuracy. Clear? And essential for deep learning models. It is essential for deep learning models. And the next question is, what is gradient based learning? Here, gradient based learning uses a gradient, which means the slope to reduce the errors. The main focus is to reduce the errors. The loss function gives the direction to update the weights. And it works with gradient descent and its variants. Core method for training neural networks. This is the core method for training neural networks. And the purpose of this gradient based learning is optimize the model parameters to minimize the loss function. How to optimize the model parameters to minimize the loss function. We have to minimize the loss function. This is the main purpose of this. And use the gradient, which means slope of the loss function, to guide updates to parameters. And the key concept is move parameters in the opposite direction of the gradient to reduce the errors. We have to move the parameters in opposite direction of the gradient to reduce the error. This is the main point, right? And the steps are we have to initialize the parameters randomly in starting. After that, compute the gradient of loss with respect to the parameters. Again, update the parameters, that is theta is equal to theta minus learning rate into gradient, and repeat until the loss is minimized. For example, training neural networks using back propagation and gradient descent. Here we use this gradient based learning, and advantage is efficient for large and complex model like deep learning. This is efficient for large and complex models in the deep learning. If you observe this diagram here, the cost is increasing, weight is increasing. Here derivative of cost, this is the minimum cost. Clear? Incremental steps. These are all the incremental steps. This is the initial weight. And here you can see the gradient. Clear? And the next question is, what is back propagation? Explain with a neat diagram. Here back propagation means calculates the error at output. It will calculate the error at the output and send the error backward through the layers. It will send that error back through the layers it has and adjust the weights to reduce the errors. It will adjust the weights to reduce the errors and works with the gradient descent for that. And they have told explain other algorithms also. Here the other algorithms are momentum, RMS propagation and Adam. Momentum algorithm speed ups learning and RMS propagation stabilizes the updates, and Adam for it is fast, efficient and widely used in deep learning. We have to explain the back propagation with a diagram. Here you can see I have told that calculate the errors at output. Here it will find the error at the output. After that it send the errors back to the layers, through the layers. You can observe it is sending back the errors through the layers. Clear? You have to draw this diagram and adjust the weights to reduce the errors. If you observe here, it is calculating and finding the weights, updating the weights, and it is working with gradient descent. Let us see how exactly it works. It receives new observation x is equal to x1 till xd, and the target is y star. Here these are all the new observations, that is x is equal to x1, xk and till xd. Clear? And the target is y star. You have to write down this one. The next step is feed forward. For each unit g in each layer 1 to L. In G and for each layer 1 to L, compute G based on the units of F from previous layer. From the previous layer, we have to compute the G and the units of F. From the previous layer, G is equal to sigma U plus summation of U jk F of k. This is the important step that you have to write down. After that, the next step is get prediction Y and error is Y minus Y star. Here the prediction is Y and error is Y minus Y star. This is we have to find out the back propagate error for each unit G in each layer L to 1. Here the back propagation means it will go, it is feed forward, it is back propagation error. You have to write down in reverse manner, L to 1. Clear? And the first one is compute error on G. Here we have to take the partial of E with respect to G sub I sub j, which is equal to the summation over I and sigma prime of H sub I V sub ij times the partial of E with respect to the H sub I. Clear? Here this formula is to compute the errors on G. And the second one is for each U that affects the G. Compute errors on u. Here the compute errors on u. Partial E with respect to partial u, which is E sigma of g times f of k. Here the final thing is update the weights here. That is, I am subtracting the mu partial of E with respect to partial u, that is from u of jk. Then I will get the u of jk. This is the updated weight. To calculate this one, I have done these two steps. Clear? You have to write down this at the ending. And these three equations are very important that you have to write down along with the diagram and the explanation. Then you will score easily. This is very important question and repeated question. Focus more on this question. And I will provide this PDF link below. Click the link and download the PDF. If you found this video helpful, then subscribe to Shivpra World for more videos like this and share this video with your friends who are struggling in deep learning. If you want me to explain any particular subject or topic, comment below and let me know. Thank you very much for watching. See you in the Unit 2 video.